Hello, everyone. Welcome to Loud and Proud Orlando. It's Monday, July the 7th, 6:36 p.m. Thank you to everybody that's live with us right now. About 27 people live. Make sure you drop us your comments and subscribe to the channel. We're close to 1,600 subs, so just keep growing and growing. Thank you for your support. I'm here with John and Paola today. So we have a pretty packed schedule today. We have a hard fought. I will have to say, I have to use that word. Hard fought draw um, against Charlotte, 2-2, Bank of America Stadium. We're going to be talking about also OCB versus the Crown Legacy. We're also going to be discussing the Gold Cup final. I mean, we'll discuss all of that. Was this beneficial for the national team? Did it hinder anything that Pochettino did? We'll discuss all of that and more. And also, we'll be previewing at the end the game against Montreal coming up this weekend. We have some missing players, and we have all the score predictions. So stay tuned. Make sure, again, if you're on X, retweet the video. If you are on YouTube, make sure you drop us your comment. Paula, how are you?
I'm doing good, even though that we had a tie over the weekend. It was a emotional game for sure, but I'm happy to be back with you guys.
John, how are you, my friend? Can you hear me okay?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good, man. Yeah, disappointing, really, the draw against Charlotte. Disappointing for USA versus Mexico. Just kind of disappointing all around, I guess, soccer wise.
Well, you mentioned a little bit of hostility amongst some of the Charlotte fans with Orlando. And coming up to this game, I really wasn't expecting too much of that. But I truly, from the moment that I I put the TV and we started seeing the people were like doing the whole European Control C, Control V like chants, and it was a packed stadium. Everybody was obviously wanting the Charlotte to win. They were yelling everything and everything to our players. It just seemed that it was a very hostile environment when it came to playing against Charlotte in Charlotte. But certainly, it was a 2-2 draw between Orlando City and Charlotte um, at Bank of America Stadium. Charlotte started winning 2-0. Pep Biel, I think, is the first game that we face him that he was influential massively in this game. And again, errors that costed the Lions to be two down. And man, the comeback was in the second half. I mean, I think Orlando City could have scored a couple more. And again, the attacking third, very choppy when it came to trying to find the third goal. Marco Pasalic in top shape in the 80th minute scored the equalizing goal. So I feel like, I take the draw. It could have been, worse, I feel, at some points of the game, especially in the first half. But I think Orlando pushed through. I really like Brecalo. I think Brecalo, they were trying to hit him. They're trying to find spaces behind him. I like the way Angulo came in the second half. I think Angulo and Rafa Santos had something to prove, and they light up, and I think they made a difference. So, John, for starters, what are your thoughts on this draw?
I mean, yeah, like we had to dig ourselves out of a hole, I think is the main theme of it. Really, we shouldn't be going down 2 goals to a team like Charlotte this year. That was very disappointing, but the fact that we came back was good, and I'm glad that we got a draw. I think if we'd have come out of there with no points, it would, I think a lot of fans would be really upset with that performance. We really expected 3 points. I know Ricardo talked about it on the interview he did with Soccer Wise, and I know Oscar talked about it, and the team expected a win. We expected a win. Charlotte are not good this year. They weren't even really good in this game, and we somehow let them get a draw, and we should have won, honestly. And it looked like we were going to come back and do it, and it didn't happen. But good fight from the boys to get the draw and to come back and get those goals. That's what we want to see. In other years, we might have just taken the L in this game, but I think that was good to see them come back. Overall, I mean, we had 15 shots and 6 on target. They had 11 total shots, 5 on target. So from that perspective, it wasn't too much difference, but we had 67% of the possession to their 33%. And I think it just shows, we were clearly the better team. We played better. We held the ball. We were more dominant in the game. We just weren't very good at taking our chances and made some stupid defensive errors. And it's kind of a trend at the moment, right? Where we need to clean it up. Every week I talk about need to clean it up in the final third and clean it up, in the defense as well. And these little moments where we're not scoring a goal or we're not defending like we should be, they cost you. And in this one, it cost us 2 points.
Yeah, for sure. It's a little bit unfortunate that there was a lot of expectation. On the other hand, I felt that this was not going to be an easy game. Certainly, the physical approach was evident from Charlotte. 10 fouls called against them in the first half alone. It was a very aggressive strategy to disrupt Orlando's rhythm, in my opinion. Um, I don't know. What are your thoughts from the get-go, Paula, regarding the game?
I mean, physical for sure. Um, when I was looking at the game, watching the game, I remind me of one time you said it that Bronico is one of our pain in the back, and he definitely was. I think I don't know what he has against Orlando that he arises or something because you don't see him like this in other games. So he was like treating Brecalo all over the place, and he did it to himself, like that elbow thing and that yellow card to Brecalo. It was unfair, man. Like Bronico was in his back all the time, so I wasn't expecting that this was gonna be a physical game like it was. I didn't like, and we can. I don't know if we're gonna talk about it in a couple of minutes, but I didn't like Ojeda taking Angulo's position. I like Ojeda being a true number 10 in the middle and not being a winger. I thought that Enrique was gonna be in there, so that's why we struggle a little bit in the beginning. And for me, Brecalo was the best defensive player for the back line, to be honest. So I get the reason why he got subbed out, so Angulo can help in that side. But it was unfortunate to see him go out. Now in the second half, we came back, like John said. We got those 2 goals. Probably we could have a third one with Enrique missing that important goal, but it was a tough one. Like it wasn't an easy. We can criticize him. Yes, you had the chance, but at the same time, it's not easy having that pressure and then scoring that goal. So kudos for their player who was Scardina who took that goal away from us. You wouldn't expect that from a defense player. So disappointed, but at the same time, it could have been worse. Like we said, we took away a point instead of nothing. So hopefully it's a wake up call, and hopefully I won't see Ojeda in that wing position again in the
Sure.
future.
Jeffrey O says, do we owe Angulo an apology? Well, I mean, it kind of, the way we assessed Angulo in here at least is, I mean, he's part of the team. I mean, he's not going to go anywhere. But I think coming off the bench was important. I think in this scenario, I think it worked. And maybe if that's the case, that's what's going to take. If Rafa and Angulo are going to perform at this level coming off the bench, I'll take it all day. Justin says, being there at the game and seeing it in person, it did seem to be really hostile towards Orlando. But Orlando came into the game looking like the winners. There you go, Justin. Well, kudos to you, my friend, because yeah, there was some of the faithful ones there in Bank of America Stadium. That's really awesome. They were able to experience that, my friend. GoTube TV says, kind of mad that the team was down 2-0, but I'm glad they reacted and got a 2-2 draw at the end. We could have even had turned that game around. Yeah, we could have. We're very inconsistent in the attacking third, I feel. I think we do. I don't know if John feels the same way. I feel like, defensively, we're really resilient and we like to play tough and match that physicality. But in the attacking third, I felt like, it's costing us tremendously. I mean, there was there were some people saying that, Ramiro Enrique is an inconsistent striker, but I disagree. I mean, I think he's been scoring lately, so I don't know how inconsistent can you get. I just felt like, you know Orlando could have probably scored a couple more. I don't know how you feel about the attack, John, in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like we talked about before. It just needs to be cleaner and more clinical. And I think it what we saw for our goal when we got back, where Enrique put the first goal in, that's the kind of thing I want to see. But we didn't see that until the 70th minute. You know what I mean? In the first half, I wrote down in my notes it was just really really sloppy, and we just kind of kept giving the ball back to Charlotte and a lot of our attacks. And when we were getting up the fields, when we were having opportunities, we just really weren't testing Kalina enough. And Barreckalo had that good, like, header in the 7th minute at the back post. Sorry, in the 12th minute that Kalina saved. And we had a few other chances, but it wasn't really like we were, hammering on the door in the first half. And I think a lot of that just comes to do with what Paula was talking about, and what I think a lot of people were talking about online was why these players were in the positions they were in. And I think the attack, like Paula said, is just not laid out correctly. And I think all of us expected Ojeda to stay in the 10 position, and Enrique to be out on the wing, and Muriel to be the striker. And when you put Ojeda on the wing, it just makes him way less effectual. And I think he ends up there a lot of the time anyway. So when you start him there, he kind of doesn't have that natural progression of movement, which drags defenders out of position and creates space. He just is already there at the left wing. And I feel like Muriel as the 10 just doesn't really work enough for me. I think Ojeda just clicks so much more in that position and creates so much more for us there. So I think everybody's confused as to why Oscar has them laid out that way. And yeah, I just don't think Ojeda at left wing in this scenario is the answer. If you're going to do that, I'd rather you left Angulo on, honestly. Like, if we're going to go in that scenario, I don't think Ojeda should be out there. I don't think Muriel, like, Enrique is the only other option out of the starting lineup who should be in that left wing, just because I don't think any other player has really been that effectual there. So let's see if he makes those changes. He seems to be playing around with how to get all of the DPs on the field, but I feel like we nailed it before when he had, Muriel up top and Ojeda in the 10 and Paslic on the right. Just switch Enrique for Angulo. I'm not sure why he's messing around with more of that. It's confusing.
Yeah, OC Silent Support says we are another high level center back and creative midfield winger away from being dominant contenders. True. I mean, it's still a little early to. I mean, I feel like we are contenders. It's just that they just gotta. I mean, I think we're going into this round of games now that these are, and I know it sounds kind of cocky, but heavily accessible teams right now. And so, for what Orlando has on paper, these are teams that Orlando has to, I mean, has to beat to get a little bit of a streak going on. And I think if everything goes to plan and they win, clearly, that's going to take them up because, again, what's it called? Inter Miami, Inter Flamingos. Those dudes, like, now that they sucked at the Club World Cup. Now they all wanna, and Messi's making rumors that he wants to leave. You know, like e- the whole league is going to, oh, okay, we're back here at them, favoring them and having them win. You know what I mean? I just feel like we need to do our thing and win these type of games. And I think in this case, for how it started, and let's start with that. I mean, I feel from the good parts, Brecalo from the first half. I think the whole first half, Orlando was caught sleeping on the job essentially. With those two goals from Charlotte, without Wilfried Saha, without Patrick Aguiman. You know, and then you go have Brecalo slotted into his position as a left back, and he had even a chance to score. He was very influential in the first half. To me, one of the best players, at least for Orlando, on the defensive level. And then on the bad side of the defense, I really feel like Pedro in this game. That was a dumb yellow card. There's no need for him to leave his post like that and just get carded. I don't know what he was trying to do. I don't know if I'm being too harsh, John, but I just felt like, you know, I mean, what are you doing, dude? Like, like, um, like, really? Like, are you a center back or are you a goalkeeper? I just kind of want to know. So I felt like that was a little stupid, to be honest with you. And it could have been worse. If he would have fouled the guy and another referee would have thought that that was a true foul, that couldn't even been a red card. And so you jeopardizing your team with 10 men would have been, I think a nail in the coffin for Orlando. What are your thoughts on that, Paola?
I mean, when I saw him running after that ball, I was like, "What are you doing, dude?" I think he got confused that he was a center back, like you said, Luis. But no, we got lucky. And Bronico, like I said, he was being a pain in the back all night. So he was, I don't know, trying to be um, the superhero for Charlotte that night.
He
And
thought it was like WWE, he's like
exactly, like
freaking blood on his face. Like, is this Raw? What's going on?
no, funny thing. And then he was like, "Oh, give me the ball, give me the ball." Like, dude, come on. Like, it's like, chill down. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what he's trying to prove when he plays against us. I don't know what beef he has against us, but like I said, Bronico was being pain in the back, and the ref, he was in favor of what his mistake was doing, and not a smart move by Gallese, to be honest.
That Tifo was trash. I'm gonna say that too.
That too.
That Charlotte Tifo, like, come on, guys, like that was really bad. I don't know. I don't know if y'all see it. Um, it was just like, it just didn't make any sense. It's like, whatever. I mean, they're queens, I guess. GoTube TV says, imagine trying to finish a whole ass stadium. Finally, Miami and Messi wants to leave. Back to empty stadiums, less plastic fans and tourists. I don't think Don Garber will like that. I think Don Garber will be like crying his ass off. Uh, because his boy is leaving, unfortunately. But anyways, another positive. Again, a player that's become very influential in the attacking third. Even though our attacking third in this game didn't seem to click very well, it was Marco Pasalic. And I feel like these are the type of games that frustrate him because he does everything he can to score, and unfortunately, he didn't pan out his way. Um, what are your thoughts on Pasalic goal and Pasalic comeback and celebration, John, out of this game?
I mean, he's like a goal a game at the moment. It just
Yeah.
kind of feels like every game, it's like not if, it's more like when is Marco going to score? And, they were kind of closing him down from getting in on his left foot, and he's still trying to like make spaces. I also see him doing the cross to the back post. Like we talked about that Brekalo header. That was from a Pasalic cross to the back post. So even when he doesn't feel like he can shoot, he can be dangerous with that left foot, putting in like a whipping in spinning ball to the back post to an on running player. He's just so dangerous, man. And he's such a problem for defenses to deal with. And he's just so hungry to score every game and win every game. And yeah, I mean, it's his start so far. He's our best CP we've ever had so far, right? If you go like, let's look at the first, I don't know how long he's been here, like 200 days or whatever of their time with us. First 6 months of your time in Orlando City shirt as a DP, surely Pasalic is the top of the list. Like Facu didn't hit the ground running nowhere near this hard. You know, Nani maybe is the other one, but Nani didn't score the amount of goals that this guy's scoring, nowhere near. So I think arguably he is on track to become our best ever DP. And production wise, so far is already probably our best DP in terms of goals per game and assists per game, and just how dangerous he is out there, and how much of a threat he is for every club to deal with. I'm kind of shocked he wasn't put into the All-Star. Not that I really care too much about the All-Star, but if you're talking about like watchability, I'm I don't think there's anybody in this league with a more exciting left foot when he gets on it and what he can do with it, right? I mean, like, yeah, I'm sure people are going to be like, "Oh, Messi" or whatever, right? But I think he's overlooked in how good he is at what he does, being an inside forward, with that left foot. And for ringers in this league, I'd put him up there as one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 110% with you. What are your thoughts, Paula, on what John just said?
No, I agree 100%. I don't think people notice that he's a weapon for us, right? Even that he had double defenders. He was like boom, flying between them. And that goal, man, kudos to Muriel that he wasn't selfish, right? And he put it like pretty. Here you go, a beautiful passing ball to Pasalic. And I told Alec, we were watching the game. I'm like, Pasalic gonna score next. Boom, he scored. He scored. So I think he's the best DP for now, right? For Orlando City. I can confirm that, and I agree what John just said.
Look, obviously, he's on a trajectory of becoming very important for the club, I do believe. Obviously, he has a couple of records to shatter, and I feel like that's going to happen soon in the next few seasons, probably in the next one. The Facu Torres record, I think it's going to be broken if he continues in this form. One thing I do praise Marco Pasalic is how professional he is. I mean, you could tell this is a guy that takes care of his body. I mean, he's completely physically very good. I think he reminds me of like Nani when he was healthy, like the dude like wakes up and does like 1,000 push-ups and 1,000 crunches. You know what I mean? The dude's a beast, and he wants to give his all, and it's translating into even into his national team. Now, within the positives, we're talking about Pasalic, and also we have to say Martin Ojeda reached 50 goal contributions for Orlando City. He became the third player in team history to hit that mark, um, alongside Facundo Torres, which has 57, and Nani 51. So here's the goal from the first goal. Here are the goals, essentially. And you see, I like the fact, and I know how John feels about that. I like the fact that the buildup of the goals, there were quality touches that matter. And I take that for the next upcoming games for Orlando City, because sometimes we have quality touches and flair that is wasted chances or just one touch too many. And it was a brilliant play. And obviously, Enrique's in top shape as well. And I think that whole Muriel and Ramiro and Martin and Santos. I mean, they did a phenomenal combination. And same with the Pasalic goal with Ojeda with 2 assists in this game. I don't know if you can see. Can you guys see the video?
Yeah.
You see, here we go with a cross, and then he was completely unmarked. That was a great goal right there.
That's the same as last game. The same move
Yep,
with
Same
Ojeda
same
to
thing.
movement.
Enrique. Just a repeat. Yeah.
Now after that Enrique miss, he wanted to score his goal, and Ojeda with so important in the attack, and then again with Muriel and Ramiro, now Marco Pasalic with his left foot, which is obviously his weapon. Uh, was able to tie it up. So I take that as a positive. Hopefully they continue plays that flair that matters, because when it's just touches that go nowhere, like it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see. I think it's frustrating for the fans. Justin says it's funny because even after the hostility, people still got him to sign Charlotte jerseys. There you go. Now, um, anything else you guys want to add on this game? I know that we are now, because of this game, without 2 players, John, right? I think you threw that info today.
Yeah, I mean we'll kind of talk about that more when we get into previewing Montreal, but like you were saying about silly yellow cards, they're, finally catching up to us. Pedro and Robin before this game were one away from having to sit out for suspension of yellow cards, and both of them received yellow cards for things they didn't need to do, and which, Jansson lost his head and put in a silly challenge and got a straight, a yellow from the ref for that one. And then we talked about Pedro. So both of their yellows kind of unnecessary. The other 2 yellows we got in this game, one for Breclo felt was harsh
Yep,
on that
I
because
agree that
Bronico
too.
just made a meal of his face being
Yeah,
all bloody, and he was fouling Breclo at the time when he got an elbow to the face by accident. So I felt like that was harsh. And then the last one was Cesar's yellow card that he took right at the end of the game, where he just basically clotheslined a guy who was getting away in a 2v1 to make sure that they didn't score, which I call a professional foul and will happily eat the yellow card on that one all day long. So the irony is the 2 yellow cards we didn't need to concede are the 2 which then end up hurting us, because next game, Montreal, we will not have Pedro and we will not have Jansson. So yeah, the ill discipline, I think that's probably my biggest criticism of Oscar. It has always kind of been one of the top of my lists with him, is just, I don't know if it's his regime or whether it's throughout the staff or whether it's the players, but we tend to have an issue with shutting up and, not doing stupid things. And, we often are complaining to the ref when he's already given out yellows for complaining, that kind of thing, which just, we just need to be a bit smarter. And, they catch up to us. The stupid reds, the accumulation of yellows, it is an issue that I don't think we've ever really dealt with.
yeah. I mean, I just think they need to be a little better in understanding that if you see that the opponent, it just like Paula said, Bronico's coming all like trying to be like John Cena and trying to, do this to everybody, and trying to taunt people. And you see Westwood coming out also too, and Kalina rallying up the troops in the back and, being very vocal. Like you can tell, like these guys are out to hunt us. They're gonna try to look. They're a limited squad, just like we are. I think we are the better squad. They're gonna try to piss us off, so we fall for their trap, and then they just don't want us to win or even come close on the standings. So it's just a matter of they're that type of team. So they should know better. With Jansen, it's been recurring since he signed with the team. He's a hothead. Unfortunately, I mean, it sounds harsh, but he's a hothead. With Pedro, that was dumb. Just straight dumb. I mean, I have nothing to say, but that was just dumb. And I feel like I feel also The Rev didn't have the personality because he felt a little bit of the pressure of people. And come on, man, like we're not gonna. I know that we're gonna talk about the U.S. men's national team, but these people were doing like ole, and it was like not even half time. Like guys, chill. Like Orlando ended up drawing the game, and it just seems like those type of things is like things that you hear as a soccer fan, and then you say, this is a young, brand new MLS team, because they feel like they'll never seen the sport before, very green. But again, they let some of the things get in their head, and I think that was uncalled for. So let's read some comments here. Jeffrey O, is the supporters shield out of the question? It seems to be slipping away from Orlando. I don't know if you have the. I mean, if we go into a run, I feel like we're still chasing it. I don't know if you feel the same way, John, but it seems like Cincinnati right now. That game we should have won. We would have been in a different situation right now, but
Yeah, I'm honestly just, for us, I think we should focus on trying to stay in the top 4.
yeah,
Like we should be chasing Columbus and like maybe Philly and stuff. Like we're 4 points away from them. They're 4 points away from the top. Like we're 8 points away from the top. It's the top teams keep winning. And so if we don't win too, we're going to slip. So we have to at least maintain our position and, like you said, maintain space in front of Miami, hopefully. So yeah, we just need to worry about winning games and not so much about where we are in the playoff mix at the moment.
yeah, for sure. So our next topic would be talking about OCB, I believe. I don't know if you want to talk real quick about OCB against Crown Legacy, John.
I did have a couple last things on the Charlotte game. Just one that I feel like the last 2 games we've been beaten by like opposing number 10s. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just that those moments, like you see the moment there with Pep Biel, who scored a great goal because he got away from his Cesar and wasn't marked. I feel like there's a bit of a trend here. Like we're letting opposing teams' best players get in good places and good situations where in other years we'd close them down sooner. I'm thinking Cesar is not playing so well at the moment. The last couple of games, I've not been impressed with what he's been putting out, and I'd really like to maybe see, like we talked about before, Gervais get a little bit more of a chance. Atuesta, he's been putting in defensive work, like he made a headed clearance. Like
Yeah.
I see him trying there. He's connecting, making passes. I just think Cesar is going missing a lot of the time, and he's doing some of the defensive work, but he's not being as influential as he has been in other years. So I'm thinking maybe at the moment he's the one that needs to wake up in that midfield. But I see us not closing down number 10s as much. I think there's space in the middle of the park, whereas in other years we'd force players and teams to play outside. Just like where that space was that Pep Biel got into, it's becoming a bit of a thing. We need to watch in front of the top of the box, and that was usually all Cesar. And at the moment, I'm just thinking that he's a little bit off his game.
Do you feel that maybe Cesar, it's more of like a player that I feel like he plays well at home more than away. What do you think, Paola?
Maybe the I don't know, the fans got in his head. I don't know. Or with Atuesta, he feels that he needs to be more, I don't know, defensively. I just need to check on the game again, right? Because I feel that Araujo is not playing his best game when he's with Atuesta. When he's with Gervais, he has a better game. So I don't know if he has more responsibility in covering where Atuesta cannot be at the moment. So that's a good observation, John. I didn't like had that observation in Araujo. I'm gonna pay more attention on Saturday game and see your point of view.
He won 1 tackle.
Yeah.
What is that? Like that's not
For
Cesar.
a
Is it?
defensive
No,
One
yeah,
mid,
that's
goal?
it's
true.
Come
terrible.
on.
It's terrible stats. For a
Yeah.
defensive mid, I think it's unacceptable. I mean, if you want to contend, like John said, I mean, you gotta.
I mean, that's Westa one too.
Now
Come
you
on.
have to see how he plays because he's,
Like, you know?
you have to see how he plays at home. Maybe he just feels, I don't know, he's become more of like a home type of guy, and there are players like that. I just think that it's a good assessment. I think his consistency maybe has gone down. I mean, he's become a father recently. Maybe he's having a lot of
Yeah, sleep is an issue.
long
Sleepless.
nights,
Hmm.
For
long
real, we've seen it
nights,
with players year
long
after year.
travel,
Yeah.
right?
But I think
So
Paula maybe made a point there. I think there's a relationship thing with like him and
Maybe.
Atuesta and who should be going forward and who's coming back. And then if that happens, who's covering? I feel like he is afraid to go forward more. I don't see him. And maybe that's because he feels like he has to cover for Atuesta.
For me, Atuesta go more forward, and then he's like one of his struggles is going back to defense, and maybe Araujo is
I
trying to
think
use.
if you leave Araujo, like Paula's saying, like doing his job as a defensive mid, not so much trading back and forth, he's
Hmm.
probably gonna do a better job. Multitasking sometimes doesn't work. Maybe he did before, but he didn't have a little one at home. You know what I mean? They had to change
Yeah,
diapers for. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Or wake up at 4 in the morning. But
But he is in that last year of his contract. You remember, like, and he hasn't signed. Like, so
yep.
there's this
yeah,
kind of like looming. Like, are you still the guy, or are
are we
you not the
gonna?
guy
I
anymore?
mean,
You know?
at this point, I mean, I'm okay with an upgrade, but it has to be an immediate upgrade. I mean, you're talking about Gervais,
Yeah.
definitely staying within the team, and then finding another person. You have Cartagena still with an option, I believe,
I think so. Yeah.
but I don't know. Again, his injury, and I know people are gonna kill me in Peru for me when saying this, but I mean, coming back from that type of injury, you're not the same player.
No.
NBA players go through the same thing because everybody likes to wear low tops now in the NBA. I know, and they tear their Achilles.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Halliburton and all these other players.
I mean, I think
Yeah,
technically Cesar is available. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's 6 months out
yeah,
and he's not like people could be bidding for him now to become their player in January for free.
exactly. So maybe he's
They
just
can offer
not.
him contract.
Maybe he's just not feeling that commitment. I
He
mean,
hasn't
again,
been committed though, you
we
know?
we're speculating here.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is speculation.
Yeah, but like I feel like another thing that really hindered Charlotte was the subs that they made that the British guy, the coach Dean Smith did.
Angry Englishman
Yep.
on the sideline.
Uh, Abada and Westwood trash coming as subs. I mean, typically people had a lot of expectations on Abada and Westwood, and they usually play really good games against Orlando. But it seemed that Orlando subs really made a difference, and their subs didn't. And that's why you see that jolt of energy and momentum in the Orlando side to the point that Orlando could have closed this game off. Unfortunately, again, we are like, it's like you going out with this beautiful girl, you're sweet talking to her, and you guys are dating, and then, can't even go first base. You know what I mean? Like, you get completely shut down. It's just like that with Orlando sometimes. We need to go ahead and finish the job. Maybe we're gonna get better. I feel like the boys know, and I have full faith. At least I don't know what you guys feel, but I have full faith that this upcoming games. I mean, if we don't win, I mean, if we don't go on a roll here, then yes, you should start getting a little concern there for sure on the aspirations of what type of team they want to be. But right now, I feel like playing against a contender like Charlotte, it's a draw that we could have wanted. But I mean, I praise at least the positives out of this game. Um, Next, we're gonna be discussing OCB against Crown Legacy. I don't know if we have more comments here. No, we don't have any more comments. Thank you for your support. Make sure that you subscribe. We're about 78 people live. Appreciate you guys. Um, Do you want to go, John, about OCB?
Yes, indeedy. All right. So yesterday, OCB also played Charlotte, but there are two teams. So the Crown Legacy, and it was again a 2-2. So sort of like father, like son. Big, like big brother got 2-2, so I got to get a 2-2 as well. OCB, they did win on penalties, so they come out of there with the
Oh,
full 2 points, which does do them helps in the table. They are actually now up to 7th place in the table, following this draw and the draw they got before against Philly Union 2. They played a pretty good game, considering it was away on a field that really didn't look very good at all. I've got the goal here, Luis, if you want to put that up.
let's
This
watch it.
this was the goal. That is a good assist by, I think it was Shaq in the build-up. I'm not sure exactly who made the assist. It might have been Shaq as well. But it comes across to Justin Ellis, and he puts it away. So have a watch of this one.
Still going with it. It's
Oh,
played
nice.
across. Against the run of play, Orlando City B take the lead.
Oh,
Isn't that Caraballo?
That was Caraballo.
Caraballo,
Sorry, yes.
yeah.
It was Shaq, and then he played it off to Caraballo, and Caraballo gets the assist.
no reaction
Yes,
from the
indeed.
goalkeeper. I feel terrible. Where did they play? Did they play in like a? It looks like it looks like a park or something.
Looks
Yeah,
like a track and field park or something.
It's the, I guess, their training field stadium there. Yeah, it's not.
It looks
But
like
if you-
Central Florida Fairgrounds.
Yeah, I'll kind of go on, but if you look at it over here, like the pitch here looks pretty bad. It looks, there's like chunks all over it that are not there. I don't know if it was grass and they're just missing spots or what, but we came back. We got a penalty late in the game. Charlotte obviously scored 2 in that time, but we managed to tie it up. Justin Ellis once
Lost his
again.
balance.
That's
There's
my
the
guy,
penalty
man.
conceded to us.
And a
Taifi
penalty's
just
been
got
awarded
bulldozed in the box.
with his back to goal.
And Justin Ellis
Zachariah
steps up.
Taifi's knocked over.
We need to improve in the set pieces and use Justin
Florida.
Ellis.
To be precise.
I have to look at how many goals he has in the season now.
Ellis does well with it.
He's having a great season.
And we're
Hasn't been
tied
picked, I
once
know,
again.
for the
Yeah, that
MLS
kid,
Next Pro.
that kid's definitely the next
All-star.
guy up.
So that was 2-2, and then we went into penalties. I don't think. Oh, they do. Yeah, here we go. So penalties. The star of the penalties and the star of OCB really at the moment is Carlos Mercado. He had another great game here throughout and made several saves. And then it came to the penalty shootout, and he made
Tahiri
2.
Brown.
I think it was
Oh.
2 or 3. They skipped it here in the highlights, but if you look on the screen now, you can see the first 3 penalties that Crown Legacy had, Carlos Mercado denied. So he made 3 penalty saves in the shootout in a row. Basically, set us up to win the penalty shootout by that point. We scored our first 2. And then this, I believe, is the winning penalty for us to take all of the points. So a good game for OCB on the road. Managed to
Claypier
come back.
wraps this one up.
Claypier was the guy who got the winning penalty. We managed to come back and get the 2 points and the draw, and up to 7th place in the East, kind of hanging in there in the playoff positions. But yeah, another tough road game. We got a result. We'll take it and move on from there.
Yeah, for sure. Congrats OCB. I think that they're the future. I would like to see Orlando City better their chances on set pieces for sure, because we get a lot of set pieces, but we don't convert a lot of the time. And I like Justin Ellis. I think Justin Ellis is a really good striker. Hopefully, he gets some minutes at the wonderful and upcoming. I already applied for my credential for the Leagues Cup, guys. We're gonna be playing Toluca. We're gonna be there right there. So now let's talk about
Justin Ellis has 7 goals.
7 goals.
I just want to check on that. Yeah, 7 goals for him so far. So very good.
Man, the U.S. men's national team. This is look. I'm gonna be up front, and then we're gonna read your comments. Um, Look, because I feel like the loss is accentuated because of the political turmoil we're living right now. It's more noticeable, especially online. That's number one. Number two, um, coming from South America and not being a respectable with all these clicks and likes. I'm not Brazilian. My actual team struggles in Comebol. I'm not Brazilian. I'm not Argentinian. You know, I don't wear a mustache or I don't do any tactics, right? But all I can tell you is I call it like I see it, and I wish Peru would have the balls to take a team of players from their home league, like the Peruvian league, take a bunch of those kids that have their first stint with the national team, have the balls to take them to a tournament that it's important in the region, like the Gold Cup, in which I compared to Copa America for CONMEBOL. I wish Peru would have done that. If Peru would have done that more often, rather than bringing always the experienced guys, we by now Peru would have players at a young age to carry on a qualifiers. Unfortunately, they don't. And so there's a lot of teams like this in South America. Now, the US, and the way I see it is this, they have the balls, and I'm going to say that because they have the balls to take to the Gold Cup within this political turmoil, and they know they're going to probably face Mexico in the final, but they know that other teams are on the up and up, like Guatemala. They have a good system, they have a good coach, they have kids that play in MLS Next Pro, some MLS, some abroad, and they've really improved tremendously. Panama, dark horse of the U.S., and they have to face these tough teams. Costa Rica, they have players in Europe and stuff, and taking kids, the first stint in the national team, taking these kids to face their A or a mix of A and B squads of those countries, I think is having massive balls, and not a lot of teams do it. And I think the reason why the U.S. did it against in the Gold Cup is because they want to have a backbone for the stars, for the Pulisic, for the what happens if Munsa gets injured. Oh, now we have Berhalter. You know what I mean? What if Pulisic, something happens to him? Diego Luna could go take care of that. So there's opportunities for these players. Now, I praise Pochettino for that. Now, I'm not a Pochettino fan. Like, I would have loved to have a different coach in the national team. Just like I didn't like Mascherano going to Inter or coming to the MLS. I feel like Poch is a little green, but I do praise that he's trying to bring in more kids to the pool of players, so he just doesn't depend on the experience. You know what I mean? So I think I think the US gained a lot in this tournament, because they faced a team of Mexico say that they're the best league in North America. So these are players that are going to be playing in different leagues in Europe. Some of them are playing in Europe, and these MLS kids stood in front of them. Yes, a lot of garbage plays and controversial situations that we'll discuss in just a moment. But to me, I think the US can rescue some positive out of this tournament without me just talking crap about the tournament and about the national team and the coaching and being super toxic, like what I've read online, which is disgusting. And these are people that have a voice, have and have retweets, massive retweets, and they go to these events and they're just trashing these kids. And I really hate that, because I feel for Freeman. Freeman was close to score the goal. And now there's people online calling out because he needs to go back to Orlando. I just think it's look, if we're gonna start doing this at a Gold Cup, I'm sorry guys, but the Gold Cup does not have the prestige, not even as the FA Cup in England. I think the Peruvian Cup has more prestige than the Gold Cup, with all due respect.
I mean, the Gold Cup has Saudi Arabia in it. Like, what are
Come
we
on,
talking
right?
about?
Right. So you're talking like this is the end of the world, and I think Podge can take the luxury to try these kids at this type of tournament, and I think these kids have demonstrated they have balls, and they can really hang out with the big guys. I don't know. What are your thoughts, John, about the U.S. men's national team?
I want to hear Paula's thoughts because I don't know if she watched the game or if she's
Oh,
been following USA on this one or what first.
The only game that I didn't watch completely was yesterday because I was doing something else, and then when I came home, it was 2-1 or 1-1. I don't remember. I mean, I get, like Luis says, there's a bunch of youngsters in the team, and eventually they need to get the rhythm of a USA, like an international team together, and then we can worry about our next A team, right? I think this is the B team. This is not the A team. I think they did phenomenal. We could win yesterday in the little pieces that I could see. I think Mexico was all in yesterday, but I think this is the next phase for USA team. I get Pusilic wasn't there, but he's gonna be what? What is the next tournament for USA in
well, the
October,
World
right?
Cup.
The world no,
Yeah,
but
it's just
there's
friendlies now.
another. What is the World Cup or there's another
That's
one
it.
in September and
Now the World
No.
October?
Cup.
Oh
September is
shoot.
like friendlies, but it's just the World Cup is the next tournament.
Okay, so okay, cool. So probably in the friendlies we can see the A team so they can get acclimated. But in my opinion, this is the next generation for the US A team.
What about you, John?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's frustrating because I think there's no context to some of these U.S. men's national team fans and these people that want to slam, youth kids that are barely played any international soccer. And like you said, Luis, they got to the final with a team that's essentially an MLS team. I think it took guts for them to call up, to use this team and to see how much they can do and to see, give them time and effort and also to build up that second tier of guys, right? Like it's like you said, there's no your squad in the World Cup is really only as good as your full squad. You can't have 11 A team guys and then everyone else who's not able to contribute at all. So by playing Luna this whole tournament and Ajimang and Tillman and Berhalter and Freeman and Arfson and all these guys that people are like, he sucks, he's no good. You're playing them to give them a chance to prove that they are going to be good enough next year. And the Gold Cup, it doesn't matter. Like you said, Luis, as much as people are like, oh, we should win it right now, the only thing that anyone's ever going to really
The World Cup.
remember Pochettino for is how he does in the World Cup. So
Exactly.
no one's, if we kill it in the
100%.
World Cup, no one's going to look back and go, oh, but you lost the Gold Cup final to Mexico. Like it doesn't matter. And by the way, we made the final, like you said, Luis, with a team that really is not like nearly as strong as Mexico's at all or Canada's was. I think if we'd have come up against Canada in the final, the same thing probably would have happened. And
Yeah.
a lot of the reason is because you have guys like Freeman who are putting in their first ever minutes in real tournament with the U.S. national team. You're not expecting them to come on and immediately kill it. Like it's just not realistic. So I think for a lot of these fans, they need to be more realistic about their expectations with the U.S. national team for one, because that is, I think a lot of them think that we should be the best in the world, and that's just not going to be the case, whether you think it is or not.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
And
We're
then
not.
also just realistic expectations with this group and what they were going to do in this tournament. And in this game, you really showed the difference in quality. But I think a lot of that was to do with the guys that were more experienced in this camp not stepping up. Apart from Richards, none of the more experienced players stepped up. Ream was extremely average. Adams,
Creamed.
nowhere near what Tyler Adams should be.
Yeah.
Right? He should have been the most impressive player on the field every single game, and he had a horrible tournament. Like, so I just think that's a lot of it. It's like, yeah, everyone's like, oh, you should have brought this guy. You should have brought this guy. Like, where's Joe Scally? And where's,
No, we're
and
not
you're
gonna.
just, they're naming guys who are almost as good as the guys on the field or as average as the guys on the field. So I don't understand. You can, complain about you should have brought this guy, should have had this guy, whatever. But I really don't think they're that much better than what we did bring. And for what we did bring with us to this tournament, I think we achieved fairly well. And a lot of it for me, like you said, Luis, is just getting minutes, right? Like if you've given that many minutes to Diego Luna and Tillman and, I think
And
Freeman
Freeman
personally,
also.
and I think maybe not all of them, but like Freese, there's guys here who have benefited and they will continue to grow and get better over the next year, and they'll get more national team appearances. And then hopefully they can push to maybe be, like Diego Luna might be a starting player. If best, he's a squad player for the US national team. That's because he's had this time in the squad with the Gold Cup. So I think if you can't see what we're trying to do long term, I don't understand, the lack of vision there. And I think a lot of the time it's aggression against young players that are giving their all for their country. I think is just unnecessary. And I think also people don't realize how damaging they can be to some of these guys who are, trying to do what they think is, trying to perform their best, and to go online and to read "you're terrible," I just don't think is helpful. Even if people believe it, I just don't think it always needs to be said. And also a little bit of understanding and grace could be put in here. Like, hey, maybe this guy isn't the best because he's only 20 years old and hasn't played in national team games before. Maybe that's the reason.
Yeah, I mean, also, I am clear to say that in this particular tournament, we've seen players having tons of minutes, like Alex Freeman, for example. Like for Pochettino to see what Freeman can bring, it's tremendous. Also, another player that he really likes is Berhalter Arvston. And I think that's something that we can definitely take that for the future for what's coming next. Malik Tillman as well. I think he's going to stay in Europe. Diego Luna as well. And now one thing I do want to say, just like you mentioned Adams and Ream, I think Ream, like he mentioned on the post press conference, said, I feel like I have 20 kids. Like this dude needs to, I think it would have been a good idea for Poch to try Miles Robinson instead of Ream. I think Miles Robinson would have probably give more solidity
Yeah.
in defense. That's just something
I
that
think that
Poch.
the only reason Ream is still there is because he's a left-footed center back,
Yeah.
and we don't
So,
have other left-footed center backs.
but also one thing that is really worrying, and again, or the MLS, we need to see. We need to find. I don't think the U.S. right now has a top gun striker. I think Aguiman tried as much as he could. I really feel like he struggled in a lot of the games. He scored a couple of really great goals, but also against really lesser competition. This game against Mexico, he had the size and the physicality, but I mean, he didn't do absolutely anything, and it's really concerning because if you look at all the list of nines that the national team has, Pepe, I think he only has like 4 goals, 2024-2025 season. Balogun, the same. Haji Wright, I don't know if people like Haji Wright. Josh Sargent, like I don't even follow his life right now. I don't even know what he's doing.
He's at
Brandon
Norwich.
Bas- Brandon Vasquez, he came back from Mexico, now back in the U.S. And Jesus Ferreira, I mean, people are saying that he's picking up his form, but is he really a true 9? Because one thing I see is that the U.S. moves the ball really fast off the wings. They have players like Malik Tillman. They have like Alex Freeman now, Arvston, Tolkien in top shape. Also, great wingers and left backs and right backs that are super fast. But then who are they going to pass the ball to if there's no number 9? There's not a guy that could just poach it in or head it in. It's gonna be all
Well,
responsibility for them to connect their attack through the sides.
it's going to be the 2025-26 season in the championship is the Hunger Games for U.S. men's national team number nines with Big Pat for Coventry and As You Right in theirs. Sorry, Big Pat for Derby. Had You Right for Coventry. You've got Josh Sargent for Norwich. Like, it is the amount of U.S. nines in the English championship who are kind of all going to be competing to be in the mix for that spot. And you're right, Luis. There's no one really standing out. Patrick Adjuman got the worst of all the hate from everybody because he just wasn't able really to produce. But I think for what Pochettino wanted him to do, he did a pretty good job, right? I think in that scenario, he wanted him up to be up there, breaking up the play, trying to be a physical guy for defenders to deal with. And most of the time he achieved that. Whether he was able to, actually put the ball in the back of the net is a different question. But for the kind of striker that he is, I think that's what Poch wanted out of him. And let's see how he does in Derby. You don't know. I mean, a year from now, Derby might make him into an incredible striker, right? That's the thing with for me on this whole conversation with the U.S. national team and the number nine is these guys right now in any of the positions are good at the moment, but who's good in 12 months? Who's fit in 12 months?
Exactly.
Who's scored 20 goals in their season in the next 12 months, right? That's what matters the most. So for all of these dudes, they're on similar levels, but the most important thing is how they perform in their seasons, both for MLS teams, the English teams, wherever you are in the world. You've got 12 months to prove yourself to get into the squad.
And I'm gonna end with this. And Paula, you have anything else you want to add?
No, Aggie could have been the hero last night, and he didn't score
I mean,
that
fine
goal.
margins, right? Like you said with
Yeah.
Alex, like
Exactly.
it could have gone either way.
But I do want to add
You want to talk
another
about that
thing.
fun handball?
Yeah. So I was gonna get to that. So I think I have the picture. But what are your thoughts on that, Paul? I don't know if you saw it, or maybe you, John. I think I have a picture. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
I saw pictures. I didn't saw it live.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, for me, I know a lot of people are like the rules are you're allowed to fall on the ball. Like you could, you can if you're falling and you put your hand out and you're on the ball. My thing is there's falling on the ball and then being like, oh, I fell on the ball, and you immediately take your hands up in the air and you're like, oh, I didn't mean to, sorry, ref, like it was a complete accident. And then there's falling on the ball
And
while you're
holding it.
holding it, controlling it, having one knee on the ground while you're still holding on, like palming it and controlling it and holding it, and then looking up to be like, is anyone here? I think that was, yeah. So to not call it, I think is harsh. There's a big debate right now. Like some pundits saying we were screwed, other pundits saying it's not a handball. It's very gray area. I personally go in the opinion that there was too much control and too much time spent holding the ball, that it should have been called a handball. I think if you just fall and it's actually an accident, you immediately remove your hand and look up and go, that was an accident. To me, when he's staring at it, it just looks a bit too obvious that he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, typically it depends on the referee and his decision. Clearly, he maneuvered the ball so he doesn't fall all the way. So he used the ball for support. So he used the ball to control the play. So it is a penalty, whether you want to see it or not. Now, a couple things. Again, they booked this in Houston with all this turmoil happening with the U.S. politically with Mexico. They book it in Houston. Guys, come on, man. Then Pochettino comes out and says, "Oh, I wish more U.S. fans would have come. We needed the fans." Well, of course, Pochettino, because dude, it's in freaking Houston. obviously there's going to be more Mexican Americans or Mexicans in the stadium because it's in Houston. Come on, bro. Like that's number one. Number two is, and I agree with Pochettino in this thing that he said that if this would have been in CONMEBOL, that would have been a handball. Whether you see it against any other team, it would have been a handball straight. And again, it's just a matter of the referee's decision in the end, and he decided this was not for him a handball, that nothing was going on, and it's just to me insane. Again, or the U.S. is going to have the World Cup in 2026, so these are little things that should not be happening in tournaments for CONCACAF if the U.S. and Mexico want to be good hosts, because somebody from CONCACAF or sorry, CONMEBOL or UEFA see this and they're like, "Yo, this is a joke. Where are we going to be playing with these referees? We're going to be playing. This is a joke."
There's a good
So
comment there from GoldTube TV about the
yeah,
the second goal that, in my opinion, again on the field was called offside, and from the replays we don't get all the angles, but it doesn't look clear and obvious to overturn the on-field decision, which is what the ruling says. So the refs decided, well, the VAR team had two very crucial decisions. One, this is not a handball, which would have given us a penalty, potentially a goal. And then at the other end, they overturned the decision on the field, which was offside, and said that it was, so I don't know. We haven't seen all the angles. Unless they have an angle that was clear and obvious that Alex was keeping their striker on, then they shouldn't have overturned that either. So, I don't want to complain like, hey, we should have won this game, because I don't think we should have won regardless. But stuff like this,
yeah.
What's it like to support a team that gets the calls, Luis? That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
What's that like?
It doesn't make CONCACAF look good. And again, of course, because of banter and laughter and hey, I beat you, obviously Mexico is going to say that to the US, but just so you know and you realize your A team, Mexico's been calling themselves the kings of soccer in North America for so many years now. This team easily, according to them, using their words, should have beat this US team by more than 3 goals, and this didn't happen. They beat the US with weird calls like this. Take that with a grain of salt. I take the positives out of this game, and I think the US is going to build up. I still have my doubts about Poch. We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I mean, if Mexico says they're that great, you should have destroyed this team.
Just to wrap this up with some of the absurdity that I've had this weekend, I was debating online with some of these U.S. national team fans, at which point somebody said Greg had the B squad in 2021 and we won. So now you got them calling for, well, we want Greg back. So I think this just shows you the ideas of where the U.S. national team fans are. They don't know what they want, and can't make up their mind. Luis, let's go on to Montreal.
Sure.
And talk all about this Saturday.
Yeah, well, we are going to be playing at home. The upcoming match is scheduled for February the 8th. I'm February the 8th. What am I talking about? No, it's going to be this weekend. Definitely, it's going to be a game that we need to dominate. We're going to be without Pedro Gallese. We're going to be without also Robin Jansson, right? But again, this is one of the worst teams in the East. I think I mentioned it again. My trash can is a CF Montreal trash can. And yeah, we need to beat them. I mean, it's just we're at home. This should be more than 2 goals. They need to strike first and just be detrimental. I mean, if we struggle against Montreal, I mean, it is these are points that we need to look. I don't want to sound the alarm, but if there's a possibility if we lose this game and Miami goes up one or two slots if they win. So we cannot do that. We need to maintain ourselves in that threshold. And what better way than give the fans a start a streak, because the next round of games are going to be against teams that Orlando can certainly beat and win. I feel like on paper, I think Orlando's better than Montreal. I think right now they have a better coach. They have, they're going to be playing at home. They have better players, players that are on really good momentum, like Enrique and Pasalic. And Montreal does not. You know, that's my first assessment out of this game coming up. I think should be an easy win for the Lions, hopefully. So, what about you, Paula?
It must be a win game. It must be a 3-point game, to be honest. And last Monday we were talking about how many points from July they were gonna get out. So we were not counting that we were gonna get out a point against Charlotte FC. So we must win this game, and we cannot give them the 3 points. Like you said, Luis, these are type of games that are winnable, but we need to go and hunt for the 3 points. And I don't see Ojeda in the wing again for the Saturday game. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of Ojeda, but I'm not a Ojeda fan in the wing. So winnable game. Let's see what they show on Saturday. I think it's a win-win situation that Gallese is um not part of the squad on Saturday because um this guy, I forgot his name. Dios mío, the Venezuelan guy, the goalkeeper, the backup. I forgot his
Otero.
name. Huh?
Ojeda?
No.
Otero.
Otero,
Mon.
Otero, Otero, yeah.
Javier Otero.
Otero. Thank you. It's a good game to be a goalkeeper. It's not a strong contender. He can be there, show his skills. So I'm good with that. So
Look, one thing that I'm afraid of, it's the French Bronico, which is Piet.
that's true.
He's the French Bronico,
He
right,
is.
John?
You're right. He does. He looks like
He
if
is the
Bronico
French
was sent back
Bronico.
in time, and it's like, okay, now you have to be, like a posh English gentleman. He looks like, fancy Bronico.
With his shirt.
Yeah, with the
tied.
hair pulled back and the shirt tucked in. Yeah, but I see it, Luis. You're right.
Yeah, so I mean, we're gonna be facing Luca Petrasa. I guarantee you, he's gonna be a starter.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, Petrasso, this is the on the screen, this is their ratings versus Inter Miami. They got pumped 4-1. Petrasso got a 4.8 rating on Footmob. So I mean, it's a Footmob rating, whatever. But yeah, clearly their backline just all got demolished by Miami. Obviously, we know we've got a lot of attacking talent, but I mean, Montreal, like, they've shown some signs of life. They've got a couple wins, but they are the whipping boys of the East. And if we don't beat them, yeah, I mean, if we thought there was upset about drawing away with Charlotte, which there really wasn't, I got to say, most fans were pretty unhappy with the comeback. But if we lose at home to Montreal, yeah, people are going to lose their minds. So we cannot do that. We got to get the 3 points. And this is a big old trap game that we cannot lose.
Yeah, I mean, this is a win for the fans. There has to be a win for the fans. This is a team that mano a mano against Orlando. Orlando is a superior team wherever you see it. Now, I do want to read some comments real quick. This is Jeffrey O. Alex Freeman could have been a hero with that chance he had, but turned into the villain for breaking the defense line and making that goal count. Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Yes, I think he feels responsible for that, but also Reem is so slow, man. I mean, Reem is like Jigglypuff, man, when
Yeah.
he's marking players right now.
I think it's like
Have
we were saying though, man. If he'd have got that goal and
Yeah,
we'd have won 2-1, Alex Freeman would have been hailed as like, oh my god, he's
yeah,
amazing,
best
right?
player ever.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
moments.
exactly. Where's Gerbet's thighs? There you go. Are we sure Gallese and Jansson are suspended? Thought they both had a yellow card drop off.
I mean, per the last game day, they
Yep,
were one yellow card away, and they've had a yellow card. It won't officially be announced until like Friday because they don't put out the
right.
player availability report until the day before. But per my calculations, yes, they are both out. Um, I don't think I'm wrong here. If I am, then I'll shut up.
Is Jansen coming back after that Montreal game?
Yeah, it's just a one game they have
Yeah,
to
it's
sit
just
out.
one game. Yeah, he'll be
Yeah, but
back for the next game.
he was pretty injured in the
Oh yes, you're right. He did take that injury,
so
so
he got a
maybe
knock, and I think his knee was not
was his
good.
foot or something. I don't know what.
It was his
He
knee.
couldn't
It was a
walk. It was his
it
knee.
was a knee. It was the knee. It was the knee. So I
Well,
don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of availability, there's a question around our lineup, Luis, because of that. So we haven't done one in a while, but it might be
yeah,
worth
we
just
can do a
doing a
lineup.
quick
That's not a
lineup.
problem. Yeah. So Orlando City and Montreal have faced each other 26 times in MLS history since 2015. 11 wins for Orlando, 10 wins for Montreal, 5 draws. The last win that Orlando had against Le Trash was a 4-1 victory at Interco Stadium with goals of Dagger Dan, Facundo Torres, Enrique, and Martin Ojeda. And everyone's favorite, Joseph Martinez, scored Montreal's lone goal. Also, Angulo has scored in 2024 in April on a draw 2-2 in Stade Saputo against Montreal. Also, Orlando is unbeaten in the last 3 home games against Montreal. They have a 309-minute shutout streak since October 2021. So those are important pinpoints to taking into consideration. Now, it says supposed to remove a card if 5 games without a card, right? Or that's not a thing.
I can't remember exactly the rule. I'll have to go look it up. But yeah, you have to. I believe it gets wiped. Definitely gets wiped for the playoffs. I'd have to go back and look how many games you need to have before get your slate cleaned, as it were. But each week they'll come out with, like I said, this player is one yellow card away from being suspended, and we've had a few. We have a couple other players that are one away still, but we've had 4 that have been on there for a while, and these 2 finally came up.
We're 110 people live. Thank you for your support. This is Loud and Proud Orlando. We're also available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. If you're listening, we're going to be doing the lineup right now for the upcoming game because we're probably going to have a couple of missing players. Obviously, our number 1 is going to be Otero. Everybody agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think Otero,
Unless you want to put
Mercado's been killing it, but
Greenwitz.
I think Otero is next in line. I think there's a hierarchy here, and he gets the opportunity.
Okay, so Greenwitz a goal. I'm just kidding. And then your back 4. I think we're gonna. So Freeman is back. So
I think Dagger still starts, though. I think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna want to throw Alex straight in. He played like every single minute of the Gold Cup.
yeah, I mean they're gonna probably offer him to take a rest.
Yeah, come off the bench.
I have a feeling that he's gonna start though, but I mean that's fine.
I have
Nobody.
a feeling too.
It could. I feel like they're gonna rest him, but
Okay, I mean let's do that. Let's do Dagger.
I'm
Okay?
gonna be honest with John. I haven't liked Dagger in that position.
Let's do Dagger. I think Brecolo will be here.
I forgive you for not loving Dagger. In that position. I feel like him and Pasalic were just figuring out how to play. You know what I mean? And now Alex is back, so just get back to that.
So Dagger, Brecolo, and then it's gonna be Schlegel.
Schlegel and Brecolo, yeah. Because no Jansson.
Mhm.
And I
And
think
then
Kyle Smith at
I
left back
think I have a feeling
or Santos.
knowing Oscar, he's gonna put Santos here.
Santos, I'm with
A
you.
little bit more faith in Santos recently. I'm still not convinced. I
I'm
I'm
wouldn't
not
not
convinced.
convinced, John.
start
I'm not
Santos.
convinced either.
Even against Montreal, I wouldn't start Santos.
I feel in Kyle we trust, and then Santos coming in the second half.
Yeah, Kyle's the
That's just
safe
my
starter
opinion.
option.
Or can you imagine Brecalo still at left back and Kyle
Yes.
Smith
A
being
center
I
back,
can
center back?
100% imagine that
I
happening,
could see
Paulo.
that. Let's do that.
I mean, it's ass backwards, but yeah, sure.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, we could just put Brecalo and then
Let's play our right back as the center back and our left back as the center back, left back.
Literally.
Hey,
Let's
what
just-
works, right?
hold on. I gotta redo it because he deleted one thing.
Oh no.
Shit. Sorry, guys.
You're
My
good.
fault.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna give you a little bit of information on Montreal. They are playing
Uh-huh.
in the Canadian Championship on
Oh.
Wednesday night, so they don't have a
Ooh.
full week's rest. They are playing the Forge in the Canadian Championship. So I don't know. I mean, they'll probably rotate, but their squad isn't that good. So like, if they want to
Yeah.
go win that game, they might have to put out a decent team, which potentially could impact how well rested they are having to travel. That is a home game for them, but they are going to have to play a midweek.
Listen, they're gonna go with the 18 for that game because that's the only
The
trophy
only
that they're gonna
competition they
see.
could win. You're not wrong. And also, the Forge are like pretty good in their league, so I don't think they can take it
So,
lightly.
so there you go.
So we're going with this back four. Do we feel confident?
Yes.
Yeah, that back four, either
Mhm.
Breclo or Smith, either way around,
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
And then we're gonna see.
Apuesta.
I think we're gonna see Angulo back.
Oh.
Ooh, Luis is predicting the return of Angulo already.
Yep. I think we're gonna see Angulo back, guys.
I mean, I think it could happen against Montreal.
And then especially
Yeah.
because it's Montreal.
Yeah.
And then Pasalic.
If there's a game for Angulo to finally score a goal this season, it's
It'll be
against
this one.
Montreal.
Yeah. And then up top, we're probably gonna see Muriel. Do you think so?
I would love to, see Muriel as the striker. Oh, sorry, no. In this scenario, if you put Angulo back in, just start Enrique.
You want to start Enrique?
Yeah, and put Ojeda back in the 10. And
Yeah, I
just
think Ojeda needs to
drop
go back
Muriel
to
to
the
the bench.
10.
Like, Muriel is great for those little link up passes and connections he makes, but I prefer him off the bench, honestly, right now.
And then here, if you ask me, I would love to see Gerbe and Atuesta. That's just me. But I think knowing Oscar, we're going to see Atuesta and Cesar again.
Yeah, your Bay,
Yeah,
I think
I think
he's
so.
still injured.
Yeah, Gerbe was on the
Yeah.
Injury.
So
last game. He's
Report.
out for thigh still.
F says a player would automatically reduce his yellow card accumulation total by 1 yellow card each time he appears in 5 consecutive matches without receiving a yellow card, red card, or fine.
Yeah. So you reduce it by 1 for 5 games. So it's very difficult to reduce it down over time unless you really just stop fouling anybody ever.
Yep. So Otero up top, Dagger, Schlegel, Smith, and Brecalo. Cesar Araujo and Edward Atuesta right out there in the mid, D mid. Ojeda at the 10. Angulo as your left winger, Pasalic as your right winger, and up top Ramiro Enrique. Now other options, like I said, would be Nico Rodriguez for Angulo. We've seen Muriel also. Do you see him on the wing too? The last game, I saw him on the wing.
I mean, I did, but I'm shaking my head in disgust.
Exactly, because he wouldn't run. So
I just, of all the options at left wing, Muriel is the least effective.
Yeah. So Enrique also could play on the wing, but I think Oscar is gonna go for this particular lineup against Montreal. And then, I think what the Lions need to do is just kill the game, like score 2 in the first half, score another 2 in the second half.
For
and
three.
just win. I mean, this game it's for Orlando to win 4-0. This should be a gift to the fans, especially to the fans that travel abroad. So my respects for them. I know. What do you guys think about this starting 11?
Minimum Enrique Ojeda Pasalic scores on this
Yeah,
game.
for sure. The good behavior rule says. There you go. Well, so let's do predictions.
Get it?
Yes, indeed. Prediction time. Luis, what you got?
Okay. So, man, I totally botched it against Charlotte. It's a 4-1.
Ay, ay, ay.
All right. Montreal against La Trash. Orlando City win is gonna be a 3-1 win.
Paula?
4-1.
All right, there you
I'm
go.
optimistic.
I'm going to go 2-0 W.
There you go. A shout out. There you go.
Yeah, I think we cleaned it up because we should have been. And Montreal really, they've got Prince Owusu up front. It's like their main attacking threat. So I'm not too worried about them attacking wise. I think we're good enough to stop it. But for us, we just haven't been as clean getting those goals recently. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm waiting to see us really fire on all cylinders again, like we have been earlier in the season.
Interesting.
But Montreal is definitely a team we could pump 4 or 5 in if we perform really well.
I think they're gonna score a lot on Saturday. They feel
I hope
they
so.
owe us the fans, so let's see.
Yeah, so I do want to give some info. I wanna say hello to my good friend Austin David, which is probably watching too. So my friend Austin David says here that he confirms what John just wrote today on his Twitter. So Jansson will be missing next match due to yellow card accumulation, and Pedro Gallese will pick up his 5th yellow, so he will miss the next city match as well. That's it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We have to talk it up with. Hold on, let me give you the number of the club. 1-800-Lions. I'm just kidding. Yeah, but other than that, I think it's going to be a game that the fans should enjoy. Probably more than 2 goals, hopefully. Hopefully everything clicks. Ramiro get a couple of goals, Paslic a couple of goals, maybe a Muriel goal. Why not? A hat trick goal by Muriel. Muriel staying 1 more year with the Lions.
Dun,
he
dun, dun.
he gets the Alexander Pato contract. Would you take him?
Hold on. If it's the same contract, a year and less money, I will take him. Why not? But not a DP spot.
There you go. Well, anyways, anything else you want to add, guys, before we go?
No, I think we covered it all.
Well, we wanted to thank you for your support, guys. About 120 people watching us right now. Thank you so much. We're Loud and Proud Orlando. We are on X, also on YouTube as Loud and Proud Orlando. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, at LP_podcast, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well. And again, we'll see you guys next week with another episode of Loud and Proud Orlando. Stick around because we have the Pride Pod coming up next. Have a good one, guys. Vamos, Orlando. Take care,
Vamos,
guys.
Orlando.